Good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining us this evening. My name's Jen Penarski, and I'm with the city's Communications and Public Engagement Department. Our public information session will begin shortly. We're going to give everyone a moment or two just to get settled. Thank you again for spending your evening with us. Okay. Seeing as how it is 6 p.m., let's get started. So again, thank you for joining us this evening. This public information session is hosted by the City of Kingston for our community partners, PSPC. Next slide, please. So I'd like to welcome you officially to the LaSalle Causeway Bascule Bridge Rehabilitation Project public information session. The session is live streamed and recorded, and to protect your privacy, video microphones and chat features are turned off. I'd like to acknowledge that the City of Kingston is on the traditional homeland of the Anishinaabe, Haudenosaunee, and Huron-Wendat, and we thank these nations for their care and stewardship over this shared land. Although we've been using Zoom for a number of years, sometimes technology problems can happen. So here are some tips to make your experience enjoyable. You can adjust the view options to either pin the presentation or to pin the speaker into the main screen. If you have a Zoom specific question, you can ask it in the chat, and we have a technical producer on hand to help you out. If you somehow get disconnected from Zoom, you can call into the meeting at the following number, 647-374-4685, and our webinar ID is 889-2288-9500. This session is also being live streamed on the City of Kingston's YouTube channel, which is youtube.com/the City of Kingston. There will be a formal Q&A session as part of this presentation, and here's how you will be able to ask questions of the project team. You can ask a question in writing by typing in the Q&A area. Keep in mind that your name and question will be visible to all participants. You can also ask a question verbally during the Q&A period. If you're joining online, please click the raise hand. If you're joining by phone, press *9, and we will turn on your microphone for you. We also want to be sure that we make the most of our time together in a respectful way. The guidelines for participation are up on the screen, and they are developed in part with the community. And so what we ask is that everyone is respectful of opinions. We're open to ideas. It's hard to turn off your cell phones at the moment because you may be using them to participate. I'm going to leave these all up on the screen for a moment. If you have any questions or concerns about the guidelines for participation, please drop a note into the chat or use the raise hand function. Okay, seeing no questions or concerns about the guidelines for the participation, from here, I'm going to turn it over to the project team. So joining us from PSPC Canada are Robert Jacques and Rania El-Sadwe. They will be sharing a project update. And then we will be going on to the formal Q&A session. So Jacques and Rania, please welcome.
Are you able to see the presentation?
No,
Rania?
sorry, Jacques, we're not able to see it.
Okay, just give me
Or
1
Robert,
minute.
excuse me. Yep, there we go. That looks great.
Oh, sorry.
We are seeing the presenter view.
Presenter view. Okay.
Nope, we've got the presenter view again.
Oh, okay. Let me just give me 1 moment. I'll switch to Zoom over to the other screen. That may be the issue. Stop my share. Let's try it this way. How are we now?
Better. Yeah. Yep. Thanks, Robert.
Okay, the floor is yours, Rania.
All right. Good evening and welcome, everyone. And everybody see the screen? I guess yes. The session will last until 7 p.m., including the questions period. If you have any questions, please wait until the end of the presentation to ask your questions. My name is Rania, and I'm a senior engineer at Public Services and Procurement Canada, PSPC for short. I've been managing the LaSalle Causeway asset in Kingston for the past 5 years. Next slide. So presenting the agenda for the session, I would like to walk you through the why and the how of the major rehabilitation project we're going to be doing during this winter at the LaSalle Causeway. I'll be presenting along with my colleague, Robert Jack, who is the project manager from PSPC. He will focus on the implementation, the schedule, and the details regarding the traffic closures. Next slide. PSPC provides services for federal departments and agencies, manages the government's real estate, including a number of roads, bridges, and maritime infrastructure across Canada. For more information on the LaSalle Causeway assets, please visit the website shown below. The LaSalle Causeway has been in operation since April 1917. And in the recent years, we've counted about 400 lifts a year for navigation crafts and 25,000 vehicles on a daily basis across the bridge. PSPC is the custodian of the LaSalle Causeway. We're responsible to maintain it, operate it, assess its condition regularly through planned engineering inspections of its various components. And for the Basque Bridge specifically, we closely inspect the lift bridge mechanical and electrical system and its structural condition, roadway pavement, and connecting structures, including foundations, drainage systems, sidewalk, and guardrails. Following the inspections, we establish and refine our program of work to ensure the structure remains safe and operational for the traveling public. The federal government is committed to ensuring that the LaSalle Causeway remains safe and operational for the traveling public. Recent inspections and follow-up engineering studies have identified critical repairs required at these major components of the Basque Bridge. Number one is the steel grading deck. It's at the end of its service life, and we've been managing the condition in the past few years with emergency repairs, localized repairs, but the complete deck is now being replaced in the staged approach of this project. Number two is the steel supporting members at the trunnion bearings, which is the support main rotating support for the lift bridge. Advanced corrosion and localized section loss can hinder the operations of the bridge and its abilities to support live traffic. Repairs are now required to restore the capacity of the connections and supports. Third critical component is the counterweight. So in the past years inspections, we've removed the steel cladding and took core samples, and we've determined extensive deterioration of the concrete inside. The repairs are now required at several areas on the surface of the counterweight. For more information on the LaSalle Causeway major project, please visit the website shown below. I'll now hand over the presentation to Robert to get into the implementation of the project.
Okay, thank you, Rania. As Rania mentioned, my name is Robert Jacques. I'm the project manager for the Bascule Bridge Rehabilitation Project. So as Rania was describing, the goal of the project is to address the condition of the Bascule Bridge through rehabilitation, namely the three main components that she had described. So we're looking at an in-kind replacement of the steel deck grating and supporting steel members, which you can see the steel grating pictured in the bottom left photo. And then we need to do a steel rehabilitation of the main trunnions. So trunnion essentially acts as the pivot point for the lift bridge. And if you imagine, I guess, the bridge sort of like a shoe, it lifts at the heel. The two pivot points, the trunnions, are located at the heel. And the counterweight, the third component that's scheduled for rehabilitation, it provides the balancing for the bridge and enables it to lift for marine traffic. So the counterweight is pictured in the bottom right here. You can see there's an interim repair currently in place on the counterweight. We've installed some steel cable and netting. However, that's a very temporary measure, and a more developed approach needs to be taken in order to carry out a full rehabilitation of the counterweight. So pictured here, we have the steel deck grating I was describing, and you can also see some of these supporting steel members underneath that are in need of rehabilitation and replacement. So the steel deck grating is, as mentioned, approaching the end of its service life. The surface of the grating has serrations that basically provide the needed grip for vehicles and motorists on the roadway. Those serrations are starting to wear down, and the only feasible option for rehabilitation of that grating is replacement. We've carried out some interim repairs as bearing bars fracture over time, but a more full replacement is required in order to address the issues we're seeing with the grating. Additionally, the stringers below deck, which run longitudinally along the deck, are approaching the end of their fatigue service life. And again, the only option for the stringers is complete replacement. Some of the other components which are connected to the grating, the sill, and of course the timber curb will also be removed as part of the project and replaced. So here we have an up-close picture of the trunnion. As mentioned, it's the pivot point for the bridge. And in order to carry out the rehabilitation, we'll be removing some of the roadway in order to permit access to the exterior of the steel component. And the work involves basically strengthening of that gusset plate, which is the exterior plate on each side of the trunnion. And then also doing some reinforcement of the through trusses, the connecting members to the trunnion. And in doing the steel reinforcement on the gusset plate, we will also be replacing some of those rivets you see pictured there with high strength steel bolts. Finally, we have the counterweight, and again, we have another picture presented here, which shows the counterweight's condition with the cladding removed. And you can see, as evidenced in the photo, the deterioration of the concrete has advanced. So in order to repair the counterweight, we'll be removing the interim repair net and cables, which I showed in the former photo, removal of that metal cladding on the exterior surface, breaking back and removing the concrete to what we would refer to as sound concrete, so concrete that's no longer cracked and deteriorated. Installation of new steel reinforcing bars and dowels, which connects the new concrete to the surface, and then pouring of that new concrete exterior shell around the counterweight. So how are we proposing to carry out the scheduled works? So regarding the deck and the trunnions, we are proposing, or planning, I should say, to carry out the work in a three-stage approach. In the first stage, we'll look at replacing the northbound side of the bridge, the westbound lane, I should say. So all traffic will be alternating on the south side of the bridge, the eastbound lane, and we'll establish temporary traffic signals and flaggers during rush hour to deal with queuing traffic and allow them to pass on the bridge in an alternating fashion. Once the steel grating and stringers have been replaced on the north side of the bridge, we'll switch everything over to the south side. So traffic would be in an alternating fashion on the westbound lane. And again, we'll use the temporary traffic signalers and lights to manage traffic in an alternating fashion. Finally, we have the stage 3 removals. So the area that's sort of been supporting that temporary traffic barrier through stage 1 and stage 2 also needs to be replaced. So we'll remove that temporary traffic barrier and do a replacement of the grating and stringers along the center line of the bridge. And those replacements need to be done while the bridge is fully closed to vehicular traffic. So we're proposing to do that work during off-peak hours, so overnight or over the course of weekends when peak traffic really dies down and it's less of an inconvenience to the public. I think it'll take approximately 2, 3, 4 closures. That's what we're anticipating at this time in order to complete that work, but we'll have to see how things go and the pace of things once the work gets underway. So throughout this work, the bridge will remain accessible to both pedestrians and cyclists, and the bridge will also remain accessible to emergency vehicles. Finally, we have the concrete counterweight and how we propose to complete the repairs on the exterior. So the contractor will be constructing a temporary access platform, which is highlighted in the image here. This will allow vertical clearance to be maintained underneath the counterweight, so cars can still pass underneath, although they'll be reduced to that alternating lane for the deck and trunnion work. And again, we expect some full closures will be required in order to firstly install this access platform and then finally dismantle it once the project is complete. And those closures would be carried out over a series of either overnight weekday closures or weekend closures. I think I may have skipped a slide. Nope, we're good. So for these details regarding when the work can be expected to be completed. So the work will be completed during what is known as the navigation off season. So from November 1st to April 2024 or April 30th, 2024, we see a decrease in marine traffic. So we're proposing during the first shutdown season, which is November 1st, 2023 to April 2024, to initiate the construction activities and complete a majority of the work. And then any work that's not completed in that first shutdown season would proceed to the following year, November 1st, 2024 to April 2025. During this time, the bridge will be unable to lift for marine vessels and marine traffic. And that's just due to the nature of the work. We're doing repairs to the concrete counterweight. We're taking things off the bridge, including steel members, and the bridge really relies on a delicate balance of weight in order to lift for marine traffic. So that just won't be possible while construction is underway. So lane reductions are anticipated and expected, as I mentioned, for the alternating eastbound and westbound lane closures. And we expect that to be required throughout the November 1st to April 30th period. And as mentioned, vehicular traffic can still utilize that alternating lane during these times. Finally, full bridge closures where required. So as mentioned, we need it in stage 3 for the deck replacement, and then also for assembly and dismantling of that access structure. That will be scheduled for, as I mentioned, off-peak hours, so either overnight and on weekends. And public notices regarding the closures, so when to expect them, will be issued in advance of those closures. Finally, the contractor will be erecting portable variable message signage and also other static signage in the proximity of the bridge and around the city to indicate the closures and possible detour routes. And as mentioned, the bridge will remain accessible to pedestrians and cyclists. So this is just an image of potential alternative detour routes during full closures of the LaSalle Causeway. Of course, we have the new third crossing, the Waban crossing just north of the bridge, and then the 401 even further north. And then the north-south detours for the bridge will really depend on where vehicles are trying to get to and where they're starting from. But we have some alternative options there, Sir John A. Macdonald Division, Montreal, and then obviously Highway 15 on the east side of the bridge. So regarding how information will be, I guess, shared with the public, we have a website, a newsroom website where we post our regular public notices regarding closures. And on that website, you can expect details about the planned closures, when they're happening, how long they're expected to last, and then when the bridge will be reopened to full traffic. And I'll just note that any emergency public notices, so those are unplanned closures that we haven't accounted for, should they occur through the construction, we would also be using the public notice process to inform the public of the closure. So finally, we have how to contact us directly with any questions or concerns about the project. There's a website link there included, which I believe is being shared in the chat. If you go to that website, there is a form where you can submit questions or concerns. Alternatively, there's also an email inbox, which is monitored regularly, and any questions are filtered through to the project team. Those are both options for contacting us with any comments or concerns you have regarding the project. At that point, we are concluding the presentation, so we'll open the floor to any questions we have at this time.
Thank you, Robert. Thank you, Rania. So that's correct. We are now to the formal Q&A portion of the presentation. Just as a reminder, if you would like to ask a question, you can type it into the chat, the little bubbles down at the bottom of your screen on Zoom, or you can use your raise hand. So we have 5 participants with us tonight. Kathy, I did see that you had your hand up earlier. If you would like to ask a question, please just raise your hand again and I will turn on your microphone. Oh, thank you, Kathy. So Kathy just let me know that it was a mistake. She didn't have a question. Going to give everyone another moment or two to consider and reflect back on the information that was shared from the project team to see if any questions come to mind. While the participants are perhaps thinking of questions that they would like to ask, I'll turn it back to the project team if there's anything that they would like to highlight from the information that was shared earlier this evening.
Rania, anything, any burning things you want to share?
Yeah, sorry about the light earlier. I I had the building turn the lights off. It is Halloween, so.
Fair enough. I would just add maybe if everyone maybe needs some time to process the information that was presented. Of course, the email link and the website are always a good way to reach out and contact us with any questions or concerns. So if you're maybe not sure about how to ask a question at this session, feel free to send them through those two links provided.
There's a question in the chat, and it's a request to repost the newsroom website where the updates will be posted. So Heather is our technical producer, and she will drop that link into the chat. And they were also added into the webinar chat as well. Okay, I am not seeing any further questions or hands raised from our participants this evening. So with permission and okay from the participants and the project team, I would be happy to close the session. Robert, Rania.
It's good with me. Thank you.
Okay. So again, on behalf of the City of Kingston and the project team from PSPC, thank you for spending some time with us this evening. The information, we've dropped everything into the chat. There is a participant list that's being maintained by the project team where you can receive updates through email. And we also encourage you to follow our local media partners here in Kingston for project updates, as the project team will also send out media updates to our media partners. Again, thank you for spending some time with us this evening, and we hope you have a safe and healthy night.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.